Welcome back to the So Far So Good podcast. My name is Christopher Coombs, and in front of me...
we have Gaurav Khazanchi. Welcome back. And I know last episode Chris wanted a different method of introducing the show, but it looks like he's gone back to his roots.
Yeah, we've gone back. I think the original was... It was a thing.
It was a thing and it worked and it became part of the tradition, I'd say.
Yeah.
But you know what else is part of the tradition?
A question before the intro.
Correct.
Now, I actually have one for you.
Yeah, you've changed the game apparently.
So
So
what
what do we do? Do you go first or do I go first?
I'll go first for this one.
Hit me up.
Now, you know how you asked me a few weeks back when you go into the shower, whether you turn the water on
Yeah.
before you go in
Yep.
or you wait in there?
Yep.
I have another shower question for you.
Tell me.
Do you shampoo your hair first or
Yep.
soap first?
Oh, that's a tough one. Okay, I'll tell you what I do. I put shampoo in my hair,
Yep.
I scrub it up, then I scrub my body up, and then I wash it all off together.
Really?
Yeah. So then the shampoo or
Yeah.
conditioner, whatever step I'm up to, soaks in for it. But, I really get the value of that bit of shampoo or conditioner.
But does it actually soak?
Well,
Because
I don't think it's meant to soak, but I do that, and then I do the rest of my body.
It's time
and I wash it
management,
all.
actually.
Yeah, good
so
time
then you're
management.
only washing off once.
It's a win-win.
Interesting.
It's a win-win.
Very interesting.
Now, my question for you.
Okay.
Now, I think you know the answer because we've obviously discussed the premise of the show today.
Interesting.
But what show holds the record for the longest running primetime animated TV series and the most guest stars featured in a television series?
Oh, that's a tough one.
That's
That's
tough.
a tough one.
There's so many options.
I'm feeling... I feel like it's probably like a cartoon.
Yeah, well, I did say anime.
All right, everybody. I'm going to give the answer because I'm a genius. I know it.
What is it?
The Simpsons.
Let's get into it. So far, so good.
So yes, welcome back everybody. Now, as you would have realised by now, today is going to be some Simpsons talk. We've got some history, some facts, and also we're going to finish off with the predictions that the Simpsons have made, because there's been actually a lot.
Exactly right. And it's I'd say this episode is mainly about the predictions that everyone talks about, but with it we'll also give you a bit of history of the show and how relevant it is in today's society.
Exactly. So we kind of want to hype you guys up with the history and the facts just to get you into the thinking about the Simpsons.
And then
when we hit you with the predictions,
exactly,
it's just like bam. Mind not blown, but mind. Okay, yeah, mind blown.
Mind blown. So The Simpsons was created by Matt Groening, or Matthew Groening, I assume. The show started off as animated short segments in the Tracy Ullman Show, and this started on April 19th, 1987. So the Tracy Ullman Show is it's hosted by Tracy Ullman, and it's sort of a fun variety show with musical pieces, sketch comedies, all of that. It's like a fun family show, which was on prime time every night, and The Simpsons had, a couple of minute segment in between the show.
Interesting. So they started as like a mini series.
Exactly. It started a mini series, and he sort of just designed the characters on a whim. As a dysfunctional family. He actually created each character, each member of the Simpsons family is named after his own family.
Really?
So his mum was named Marge, his dad was named Homer.
As in the guy that created the show.
Exactly.
How do you pronounce his name?
Matt Groening.
I always thought it was Matt Groening.
Groening? I used to say Groening until I saw, an interview or something, and he said, "G'day, this is Matt Groening."
Groening?
Yeah, Groening, yeah.
That's unsatisfying, isn't it?
Well, actually, Bart is him. Except he didn't name Bart Matt because he didn't want it to be obvious.
Right. So is he so Bart's based on himself as a kid.
So. Obviously it's caricatured a bit, but he's based all the main members of the family after his own family.
Wow.
Which is quite sweet. The reason they have such odd head shapes, odd hair shapes, is because Matt said he wants the characters to be identified if they were silhouettes.
Ah, okay.
So, if you see Lisa in silhouette, you'll be like, yeah, that's Lisa.
Yeah, especially Marge.
Especially Marge, exactly. That's why they're so distinct. And the reason they're yellow, one of the animators when creating the show decided to make them yellow because when you're flicking through channels and you see yellow, it really grabs your attention.
Oh,
and then
smart.
Matt said, I'm so happy with that because because now when you pass yellow, if you pass the channel, you know, oh, I just passed The Simpsons.
Yeah.
So all around, it was
That's
almost some clever
genius.
marketing. Yeah, so it was pretty good. In December 17th, 1989, the show spun off into its own series. And it's been the longest running so far. There's over 30 seasons now, and there's even a full-length feature film which came out in 2007. Yep. The first full-length episode was called The Simpsons Roasting on an Open Fire. And that was the first ever full-length Simpsons episode that was aired. It's the episode where they actually get their pet dog.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's a Christmas episode. All this stuff happens, and they end up getting the pet dog, and they name it Santa's Little Helper because it was all about Christmas, that episode.
Oh.
And what a good way to start the show.
Now, just for the record, Gaurav, you are like a hardcore Simpsons fan, right?
Yeah, I am a pretty big Simpsons fan. It is up there in one of my favorite cartoons of all time.
Really? So you've seen every single episode?
I haven't seen every single episode because obviously there's all these new seasons.
Yeah.
But I have seen every single episode up till about, I'd say, season 19.
Okay.
And then I've seen episodes here and there from the ones on, because I did watch it on TV when it used to be aired, and then soon after that I started buying the seasons, and yeah, so I am somewhat of a Simpsons expert.
Somewhat. That's actually quite a big call. Because there'd be some serious Simpsons fanatics out there.
That's why I'm saying somewhat, because when I was thinking of saying it, I knew that I might get some backlash for it.
Yeah.
But I am, like, I make Simpsons references all the time.
Yeah.
And half the time you don't get them. So.
Yeah. In terms of me with The Simpsons, well, my parents didn't actually let me watch it growing up. So I didn't really watch it till I got a bit older.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've seen a fair bit of it.
Yeah.
Not as much as you have.
Well, I only really started watching it when I was in year 7. So what? I was like 13 or 14.
Okay. Yeah.
So I wasn't that young when I didn't grow up with it or anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, always loved it. Hilarious, clever comedy. You know, Conan O'Brien, the comedian.
Yeah.
He used to be a writer for The Simpsons.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's actually written a few of the most like really well-known episodes. The monorail episode, do you know it?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
he wrote that episode.
Yeah.
He said he got the idea of the episode when he was driving on the road and he just saw a massive billboard about a new monorail. And then this whole episode came from that.
That's crazy.
Man, writers just have a different way of thinking.
Something just sparks their imagination and then they just tangent off.
Exactly. It's so good. A few fun things about The Simpsons. Fox actually owns the rights to The Simpsons until 2082.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know how that works. Must be something contractual, but it is what it is.
So that means it will never be on like Netflix or anything like that? Or?
Look, I don't know about Netflix and whatnot because I'm sure they can share the rights or something.
Oh, they probably just buy like a contract.
Yeah, something like that. But it's owned by Fox until then.
So, but then what happens to it after that?
Well, assuming it lasts that long, I guess you renew the contract or you move to another production company. I actually don't. I'm not too sure.
Right.
But I'm just assuming.
Well, they're good
it's
with predictions, so they'll probably still be going then.
Yeah, right. Homer's famous word, you know, "dough."
Yeah.
Yeah. It was actually actually now it's in the Oxford Dictionary ever since 2001.
As if.
Yeah,
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
And it's defined as the actual definition in the dictionary says expressing frustration at the realization that things have turned out badly or not as planned, or that one has just said or done something foolish. So
Wow.
that's what it means technically. And in scripts, so when the actors read the script, when Dan Castellaneta, who voices Homer, is reading the script, it was never written as "dough." It was always written as an annoyed grunt.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then he kind of just created it inspired by some other sort of noise. But it's never, even till now, after the word was created, it's still written as annoyed grunt.
That's crazy.
So it's pretty cool. Speaking of like all the guest stars, Paul McCartney guest starred in one episode, and that was Lisa the Vegetarian.
Ah, yep.
And have you seen that episode?
Yep.
Very funny episode. But Paul McCartney said he'll only star in the episode if they keep Lisa a vegetarian forever.
Really?
Yeah, so that's why she's still a vegetarian.
Damn.
Yeah, what a trade-off.
So he's obviously a vegetarian.
He is a vegetarian, yeah. So he's a
Interesting.
guitarist. I don't know, he's one of the members of the Beatles.
Yeah.
Yeah, so big star. The opening scene when Maggie is scanned in the shop, the price comes up as $847.63. And the reason behind this is because that was the estimated price of raising a baby for 1 month at that time.
Really?
Yeah, which doesn't seem like much. But back then, 89 or 87.
It doesn't seem like much at all. Oh, yeah, actually true.
Yeah,
Back in those days.
Back in those days, quite a bit.
Yeah.
And also, the reason that Matt Groening named the town Springfield is because there are so many towns named Springfield all around the US.
Yeah.
So it keeps fans guessing where they're actually from.
Ah.
Yeah.
Man, he thought of everything when he created the
He
show.
really did. He thought of a lot of things.
I wonder how long he was actually thinking and making ideas before he actually started creating it.
Yeah, well, he had this other sort of comic series called, it was something like My Life in Hell. And when they wanted him to come on to the Tracy Ullman show, he made this new show, which was The Simpsons. He just designed his characters, and they went with that instead.
Yeah.
So it was he actually designed all these characters inside one of the producers' offices, not Sam Simon, the other one, James L. Brooks' office. So
Okay.
yeah, he's done well. He's done well just on a short amount of time.
Yeah, pretty impressive.
Yeah. So there's a handful of main actors, the cast members.
Yeah.
So there's Dan Castellaneta, there's Nancy Cartwright, blah, blah, blah. And I just wanted to point out that Dan Castellaneta, who is Homer Simpson, who is technically the main character because he has dialogue in every single episode, so Dan Castellaneta voices Homer Simpson, Grandpa Simpson, Barney Gumble, Krusty the Clown, Groundskeeper Willie, Mayor Quimby, Hans Moleman, Sideshow Mel, Itchy, Kodos, Gil, Poochie, Squeaky Voice Teen, Mr. Burns' lawyer, Mr. Teeny, which is Krusty's monkey, and Bill Clinton.
What?
All of those voices does. And
Are you serious?
when you think of the characters, you know how distinctly different those voices are.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, so
I did not know that at all.
there's more.
That's
Most of
nuts.
these guys, the only person that does one voice is Yeardley Smith, as in the main cast, and she only does Lisa.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Nancy Cartwright does Bart Simpson, Nelson Muntz, Ralph Wiggum, Todd Flanders, Kearney, and Database. Julie Kavner does Marge Simpson and her two sisters, Patty and Selma.
Yeah.
Hank Azaria does Apu, Mo, Chief Wiggum, Comic Book Guy, Carl, Nick Riviera, Captain McAllister, Superintendent Chalmers, Professor Frink, Cletus, Bumblebee Man, Snake, Kirk Van Houten, Drederick Tatum, and Pyro.
Wow.
Harry Shearer does Montgomery Burns, Waylon Smithers, Ned Flanders, Principal Skinner, Reverend Lovejoy, Julius Hibbert, Kent Brockman, Scratchy, Otto, Jasper, Lenny, McBain, Kang, Herman, George Bush, Judge Snyder. And I guess the most notable other one is Pamela Hayden. And she does Millhouse, Rod Flanders, Janie Powell, Jimbo Jones, Malibu Stacy, and Sarah Wiggum.
That is nuts.
It's crazy how many voices they do. Sometimes I think I can do voices, but I can probably do one or two good ones.
Now that you think about all these people doing all these voices,
all
it's
these
like,
voices.
we suck.
It's fascinating. And they get paid quite a bit. I can go a bit deeper into the pay, but I want to get into the predictions.
Yes, let's get straight into these predictions.
And when we talk about predictions, what it is something happens in the episode, and usually a few years later, it happens in real life.
Yeah.
And it's just really, is it coincidence? Who knows?
We don't know.
Yeah.
You will never know. Now we've got 24. We've narrowed it down to the top 24, which is nuts when you really think about it.
Yeah.
So let's kick it off with number 1. So in a 1993 episode, which was the year I was born, so
Wow.
fantastic
again, back
year.
to his birthday.
The episode was How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Legalized Gambling. Anyway.
This is the one where they build the casino in Springfield.
Yeah. So gambling basically becomes legalized in Springfield. And it basically becomes the new Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And they have 2 entertainers who have white tigers. So in the episode, one of them gets attacked by one of the white tigers. And sadly, this episode parallels what happened to Roy of Siegfried and Roy in 2003. So exactly 10 years later.
That's true.
So basically, the tiger lunged at Roy's neck during the show and dragged him off stage. He was critical condition after the attack, but survived. However, he never regained full use of his left side. And according to sources, a few years later, he basically did an interview and said that he doesn't blame the tiger. He says, I got a stroke and I fell down. And, I saw him looking at me. I was like, what now? What happened? And then he basically picked me up by the neck and dragged me to the side of the stage to keep me safe, like a mother would with a cub. In other words, saying that the tiger took care of him.
That's pretty sweet.
Which is super, super interesting.
Very
because
interesting.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
Yeah, look, if they took care of the tiger, you'd assume that tiger would
So
be
basically,
likewise.
exactly 10 years later, it happened.
Yeah. And it's the white tiger from the circus as well. It's very specific, so it's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, another one. In the episode called E.I.E.I. Dote, Homer and his family move to the country, and they become farmers. Now, Homer starts using plutonium to make his crops grow bigger because he's unsuccessful in his other farming gigs. And this mutated his crops, and his tomatoes that grow are a mix between tomatoes and tobacco, which they start calling tobacco. And this episode aired in 1999. It's a pretty funny episode. I remember there's a scene where Ralph Wiggum picks up a tobacco, eats it, and then he gets addicted because it's full of tobacco, and he's asking his dad to buy more. Anyway, in 2013, there were mutated vegetables found in Japan near a nuclear power plant. Some of the crops were tomatoes that had grown on them, while the other were very large. They grew abnormally large. And in addition to this, there was also an operation analyst named Rob Bohr who was inspired by the episode to graft together a tobacco root and a tomato stem to make a real tobacco. Now, I don't know if he was successful, but it did happen.
It's super weird because how would you even... Why would you even think of doing crossing tomato and tobacco?
So in the episode, what happened was, because he's on a farm, some guy spits out tobacco, and it gets into his crops, like where he's farming. And then because he's mixed plutonium, it's probably scientifically incorrect, but it combines tomato and tobacco. So yeah, it's a funny episode.
Yeah, it's just so...
It's classic
so
Simpsons.
Weird. The next one we have, number 3, is regarding rigged voting machines.
And when we say number 3, this is in no particular order. This is just an order we've decided to tell you in.
Just to make sure we actually tell you them all that we've picked. So this is a prediction that pretty much anyone could have made, I suppose. So in the opening scene of Treehouse of Horror XIX, now that would be, according to my calculation...
19.
so 10,
XIX.
1 minus, 19.
What, is that how you do it, 1 minus?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because when the 1 goes in front of the character, it's 1 less than... Because X is 10.
It's 1 less. It's like IV. It's 4.
Yeah. So on our sheet, it's XIX. So X is 10, and then the next one... I'm just explaining so everyone knows what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
But anyway, Treehouse of Horror 19. We see Homer trying to vote for Barack Obama in the 2008 presidential election, but the machine chooses John McCain. When he tries to report the issue, the machine sucks him in and kills him.
No, I don't think anyone died from machines in real life.
But, in 2012, there were real faulty machines that changed votes to Mitt Romney instead of Obama in Pennsylvania. How crazy is that?
Yeah. And I think that's why, like, when we researched, it said pretty much anyone could guess it because it's a classic technological issue.
Yeah.
And luckily, the machine didn't kill anyone. All right. In the episode Lemon of Troy, this is actually one of my favorite episodes of all time.
Really?
A lot of my favorite episodes come from this season. This is season 6. So in this episode, the Shelbyville people steal the lemon tree from Springfield, and the whole episode is them trying to get it back and all of that.
Yeah, I have seen that
Yeah,
episode.
it's such a good episode.
Yeah,
Actually, a lot of the
yeah.
episode, there's a big part in the episode about Roman numerals. So it's cool that we just
Interesting.
talked about Roman numerals. There's a scene where Bart's trying to figure out which door to go through, but it's all written in Roman numerals. And he's like, I wish they taught us that in school. But a scene at the start of the episode, they were literally teaching them Roman numerals in school.
Oh, really?
But he wasn't listening. Yeah. So, good
That's
episode.
so classic.
So, Shelbyville people steal a lemon tree from Springfield, and a similar occurrence happened after the episode was aired, which was in 1995.
Yeah.
But in 2011, a married couple's potted lemon tree was stolen in the middle of the night from their front porch. They posted flyers trying to get someone to return it. So it's not like a huge deal that this was a prediction, but it's funny that I'm sure someone's stolen a lemon tree before. But
Yeah, they're really fishing for a prediction on that one, I think. But all right, let's get into the next one. So, in the 1995 episode Lisa's Wedding.
yeah, there's a few from this one, isn't there?
Yeah. So, part of the story takes place in 2010 where Lisa is 23 years old. This episode allowed the show to make predictions about what the future would look like. So, we see one character talking into his watch, which is now possible thanks to smartwatches. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. The next one for Lisa's Wedding is that there will be robotic librarians in 2010. So, of course, the Simpsons robot was in a humanoid form.
Yeah, it was like a robotic lady that.
Yeah. But Joe and Rika Mansueto Library in Chicago is managed actually by a robotic system. Requested books get pulled by an automated retrieval system that keeps track of all the books by the barcodes on them.
What? So it's robots, but it's not a robotic lady.
Yeah,
but
it's
close
not
enough.
a robotic person.
Yeah,
but it is technically the library runs with robotics. So we'll take it.
I like this next one. The next one from this episode is good.
The third one from Lisa's wedding episode. We also see Lisa chatting with her mother on a rotary video phone. So this version is actually pretty similar to the earlier versions of video phones, which had keypads. Now, with things like FaceTime, we're able to see and talk to each other through our cell phones. So they predicted that as well, which is pretty impressive when you think about it.
And what's cool about it is, because that episode, it's like a glance into the future. So it's like, it's not like they're as guessing what the future is. So that one's kind of a solid prediction, because it didn't have anything crazy like flying cars or anything. So yeah, nice work.
There's actually one more for that Lisa's wedding episode.
Yeah.
And it's basically about what it is that they thought the Rolling Stones would be touring in 2010. That was their prediction, right? So once again, in the episode Lisa's Wedding, her dorm room has a Rolling Stones poster with saying on the sign, Steel Wheelchair Tour 2010 on it. And then in real life, the Rolling Stones toured in 2012. So it was pretty close.
Pretty close. It's It's cool to think that their jokes actually they do it as jokes, but it's real.
Yeah, exactly.
Solid predictions. Alrighty. This one, horse meat. So in the episode Sweet Seymour Skinner's Badass Song, we see the cook at the school putting horse meat as a secret ingredient for her food. And that was just kind of a dark joke, saying how they use cheap meat in kids' foods. Now that episode was aired in 1994, which was sadly a reality later on. So in 2013, this happened. 4 beef products from a company called Bird's Eye tested positive for horse DNA. And according to BBC, this company sold meat to companies like Taco Bell. So
wow.
Big budget stuff.
That is crazy.
Horse DNA and beef meat. So
that is not right.
I wonder if it's just like a horse hair landed in, or they have used horse meat.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't eat meat,
crazy.
so...
Alright, so on to the next one. In the 1998 episode, The Wizard of Evergreen Terrace, we see Professor Frink wearing some pretty stylish earmuffs. Eventually, fuzzy hamburger earmuffs became available to be bought on Amazon.
Well.
How crazy
Not
is
much
that?
of a prediction, more like someone just decided to make it. But a prediction in itself. Why not? Now, in the 1991 episode Brush with Greatness, Marge paints a portrait of Ringo Starr and sends it to him. We see years later that he responds because he's determined to write back to every single fan. Now, in the episode, he's got like piles of fan mail.
Yeah.
In real life, this actually happened, but with Paul McCartney, not Ringo Starr. So the other Beatles guy.
Oh, old mate Paul McCartney.
Yeah, right? He's
Back
there all
in
the time.
town.
So two women recorded a message on a reel-to-reel tape in 1963 and sent it to him. In 2013, they finally got a response, and the legend wrote them a letter. Hi, Linda and Barbara. Thanks very much for your lovely tape. It finally got through. Better late than never. He wrote, great to hear that you found each other after all these years. Keep enjoying the music. Love, Paul. So the prediction was that the Beatles respond to fan mail after years and years and years. And look, that happened. That was, 50 years later?
That's actually pretty crazy when you think
50
about it.
years, yeah.
I'm
I
surprised
hope I
they
did the
even
maths
responded.
right.
Because you would forget about it by then.
Good on them. I hope they got it.
In another 1998 episode called Bart Carney,
This is another one of my really favorite episodes.
he says that about
Okay,
every single episode.
That's why I say
Even-
one of. I'm not saying the favorite episode.
Literally
one of.
every time Simpsons comes up in like a social gathering, Gaurav will be like, "Oh, that's one of my favorite episodes."
That's because you always talk about the good episodes. So, the good ones are my favorites.
All right, so basically the first 19 seasons was your favorite episodes.
Close enough.
All right, well, in this episode, so it's called Bart Carney, we see many characters play carnival games. One of these is a simulator game for doing yard work,
Yep.
which requires players to wear a headset. In real life, we have Farmville, which was released in 2009, which is 9 years later. The Facebook game doesn't require a headset, but it simulates the act of taking care of land for fun,
Yeah.
which is what that simulated game was.
Man, your maths was off. It's 11 years later.
Oh, right.
But yeah, in
yeah.
the episode, it's almost like it's virtual reality.
Yeah.
And what's funny about the episode that earlier in there, they're inside and Marge is like, clean up the backyard, and they don't want to do it. And then when they get to the carnival, they say, I want to go in the yard work simulator.
Yeah.
So, solid.
Yeah. Ironically funny.
Yeah.
Love a bit of ironic comedy.
In the episode, Brother, Can You Spare Me 2 Dimes? It's another one with Homer's long-lost half-brother. We see Herb come up with the idea of making a baby translator after seeing a mother struggling with her baby. He then goes on to create this machine that translates babies' noises.
Yeah.
And that episode aired in 1992. Now, in 2013, the app Cry Translator was released, and the app essentially tells you what your baby wants based on their cry.
Yeah, that's a good app, actually.
Have you used it?
No, I don't have a kid. But when I have a kid, I'll definitely be downloading
Look, if it works. And once again, not so much of a prediction, because I'm sure a lot of people thought of doing something like that.
The thing is, with a couple of these, I'm wondering whether it's a prediction or they've literally taken the idea from The Simpsons to create a business.
But something like that, I'm sure a lot of people have thought of, imagine if you could translate what babies are saying.
Yeah, so it would have been almost like just creating the technology to actually do it.
Yeah. We're just trying to link it somehow to make it a prediction. But look, if it works, it works.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, in the episode that aired in 1996 called Bart After Dark, there is a gated burlesque house in Springfield. When an angry mob approaches the house, they have to hit the intercom button. Now, the interesting thing about this is that the intercom looks exactly like the first generation iPod, which was released in 2001. Like, I know it's an intercom system, not a music playing device, but it's cool that it was a technological function, but the look was very much the same.
Yeah.
So they say The Simpsons kind of predicted the first generation iPod, which, could be a coincidence, but it looks like they're on a roll here.
Well, I mean, yeah, 5 years later, it is a prediction, but it's almost like, again, it could be that Apple saw that episode and saw, oh, that's a cool design. We could use that for our new pod.
Yeah, right.
All right, on to the next one. So again, 1998. Man, there's a lot of 1998 predictions.
It was a good season. It was season
One of your favourites?
7. There's a few good ones in that
One
season.
of your favourites must be.
Well, this episode, there's a few favourite bits in this episode.
Yeah. Well, this episode is called Lard of the Dance.
Yeah.
So in this episode, Homer and Bart decided to recycle grease for money. So first, they would cook bacon and gather the grease to sell, but then they started actually stealing grease from Krusty Burger.
Krusty Burger, yeah.
Now, that was in 1998, that episode. So by 2013, the crime of stealing grease in New York restaurants basically increased.
Okay.
So there was more people doing it.
Yeah.
Because of that episode. So the thieves were reportedly actually created organized businesses and hired like private investigators to find these culprits.
Wowie.
So people were actually making businesses out of stealing grease and selling grease. Of all things. No one wants grease. It's sticky.
I wonder how much it's actually worth per however they measure it by.
That'd be pretty interesting to look
Yeah.
into. Yeah, knowing the So Far So Good podcast, we will not look into it.
Yeah, exactly. That's just how we roll. This one, Guitar Hero. In the episode called How I Spent My Strummer Vacation, it's the one where Homer goes to a rock and roll fantasy camp where it's hosted by the Rolling Stones, and he has like the best time of his life. Now, in the end of the episode, the band gives Homer a jacket, and it says Guitar Hero. And this is interesting because this episode was aired in 2002, and the popular video game Guitar Hero wasn't released until 2005. Now, it could just be a coincidence with the same words, but it's interesting that it is Guitar Hero specifically.
Yeah. I'll say that one's a decent prediction.
Decent prediction?
I like that one.
Let's give it. You were a big Guitar Hero fan, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I was a boss, man.
So that hits close to you, man. Good
Dude,
stuff.
I was like hardcore rock star, man.
I remember I had 100% on the drums in American Pie in Guitar Hero.
On basic, yeah?
Band. Look, probably. I wasn't that good at Guitar Hero.
No, it was a good game. All right, on to the next one. So, once again, the cartoon touched on pollution. So, this time it was the 1990 episode, 2 cars in every garage and 3 eyes on every fish. So, in this episode, we see Bart catching a 3-eyed fish in a polluted local river.
Yep.
Now, in 2011, which is 21 years later, if my mathematics are correct, and
I think that one you got right, yeah.
So in 2011, it actually happened in Argentina where a fisherman reeled in a mutated 3-eyed fish.
Alrighty, so that one's a good prediction. That's a cool one.
Good prediction.
Because I remember in the episode, I think it's mutated because of the power plant that's right next to the river.
Yeah.
This next one is a good one because it's a cool, solid prediction. And it was a prediction of Greece's like terrible economy. So in the 2013 episode, which was called Politically Inept with Homer Simpson, there is a very short scene where Homer is on a news show. And in this scene, the little ticker, the news reader at the bottom, that keeps scrolling, it quickly reads, Europe puts Greece on eBay. And of course, this exactly didn't happen. But later on, Greece did have a fraught relationship with Europe. And this started making headlines in 2015, so 2 years later, about how Greece was in a lot of debt and terrible economy, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, and that's sort of still going on today.
Yeah. Is it really?
Yeah.
Wowee. Well, it's still going on today then.
So, interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. Now, on to the next one, autocorrect. This is an interesting one.
This is a really good one.
Yeah, so in the episode Lisa on Ice, Dolph, which is one of those thug teenage guys.
He's one of the bullies. He's the one with the beanie.
Yeah, so his name is Dolph. So he uses a Apple Newton, which is a personal digital assistant, to write down "beat up Martin," and it got changed to "eat up Martha."
Yeah.
So this joke it was in a 1994 episode.
Yeah.
It actually somewhat inspired the real autocorrect that was later used on actual Apple devices.
Yeah.
So according to the AV Club, employees at Apple would actually say "eat up Martha" to each other like as a joke. in their everyday work life.
Wow. So it was legit pretty much inspired for
Yeah.
real autocorrect.
So that actually got them to start. Well, it seems like it got
like-
them to actually start creating that technology.
Yeah.
And the workers would say to each other, "Eat up, Martha," just as
Just
like
'cause-
an inside joke.
That's a really good episode because I think after it autocorrects that, Kearney just throws it at Martin's head instead, the whole machine, because he's so
Yeah.
frustrated. Also, I got it wrong. Dolph isn't the one that wears a beanie. Dolph is the one with the really long emo
Yeah,
hair.
it's like emo-ish hair goes down to his shoulder.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
guy.
With the beanie is Jimbo.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry,
yeah,
I did say somewhat. I'm an expert. So people make mistakes.
definitely somewhat.
Yeah. So, one of the most famous predictions is probably that Donald Trump would become president.
Yeah,
and
this one is crazy.
This
and
one
it's
is
been
a
all
very
over
funny one.
Facebook. Everyone listening has probably already seen it, but
exactly.
we'll go through it again.
Now, in the episode called Bart to the Future, which aired in 2000, and this is another one similar to Lisa's Wedding, where they just have a glance into the future, and it's a future episode.
Yeah.
So it aired in 2000, and the story takes place in 2030. Now, in the episode, Lisa actually becomes president, but she does say in the episode, "As you know, we've inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump." So, what actually made them do this is one of the writers just said, "The Donald Trump is just like a very Simpsons-like figure. You know, he's there. He was fun to talk about." But in no way did they ever expect it to actually be real.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool prediction. I like that one.
And there's also a part in the episode where he's going down the elevator and someone drops a sign and then he waves like with his left hand.
Yeah.
And then it actually happens in real life, the exact same thing.
So that actually is a mistake. So people think that's the same episode, but it's a completely different episode.
Oh, is it?
They actually made that episode after Donald Trump was elected.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. But in this episode, they just talk about Donald Trump being president. But I remember all those videos going around saying they predicted it. Because that was predicted to a T, man. That was like too specific.
I was thinking that can't be right. But was it actually... It happened afterwards?
That was a later episode.
Okay.
But this episode where Lisa talks about Donald Trump being president happened when it was aired in 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I really like this next one. It's just really random. So, in the episode called "You Don't Have to Live Like a Referee," Homer is asked to be a referee by the World Football Federation.
And this is like soccer football?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, soccer. So he basically ends up getting arrested and Germany wins the tournament in this episode, which is a 2014 episode.
Okay.
Then 1 year later, in 2015, two FIFA presidents were accused of widespread corruption and banned from football-related activities for 8 years. There are also 14 officials who were indicated for corruption. And on top of that, Germany actually did win the World Cup. How crazy.
I remember when that whole commotion was going on about FIFA being corrupt.
Yeah.
I remember seeing something about The Simpsons when Homer got arrested for being in a similar situation.
Dude, that is like the real thing is like the prediction like on steroids. Legit.
And Germany
Crazy.
won on top of that. That makes it better. It makes it better that they actually won.
Yeah.
Now this next one is one of the Nobel Peace Prize ones. So in 2010, the episode Elementary School Musical, Krusty wins a Nobel Prize. Now, in the episode, the characters have made like a betting pool where they choose who's going to win the actual Nobel Prize.
Yeah.
Now, Bengt R. Holmstrom was predicted by Milhouse. So Milhouse actually bet on this guy to win the Nobel Peace Prize. And in 2016, this person, Bengt R. Holmstrom, I don't actually know how to properly pronounce his name, but he actually won the Nobel Peace Prize for economics in 2016.
Yeah, that's
so
nuts.
that was a cool one. That was very similar to the Donald Trump one and similar to the betting machine one. The voting machine one.
Yeah, and that is like hardcore actual prediction.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid prediction.
Yeah.
Another very good prediction. Instead of one that's just coincidentally the same, like the hamburger earmuffs one.
Yeah, exactly right. Now on to the next one. This one was actually from the Simpsons movie. So
Yes.
not only do their episodes have predictions, but even the movie.
Even
That's
the movie,
pretty
which
impressive.
is pretty much just one long episode. So
yeah, exactly.
yeah, I'd assume
But-
it has many.
Yeah. So in the movie, Lisa and Marge are in the NSA building, where they see thousands of workers listening in on private conversations of citizens. They end up running away and setting off an alarm in the building, essentially blowing the NSA's cover.
Yeah.
Of course, this didn't exactly play out the same way, but Edward Snowden did blow the whistle on the NSA about what they were doing.
Yeah.
6 years later.
Yeah, I do remember that. There's another bit on the in the Simpsons movie where they're all running away and they're on a bus or a train, and Marge, Lisa says, "Shh, don't say that," and then Marge says, "Oh, like the government isn't listening to every one of our conversations," and then it zooms out into the NSA building where there's millions
literally
of
listening
workers
to every
conversation, and a man stands up saying, "We got someone. We actually got someone." So
all I'm waiting for now is someone who works for NASA to blow the whistle on how the Earth is flat.
My God. Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that. I just want to quickly go back to one of these really cool facts that I've got.
Yeah.
Just in relation to that episode. So in the episode where Homer goes to space, they actually got Buzz Aldrin to be in that episode.
Yeah, they did, actually.
Yeah. And there was a funny bit. The writers had written a line in the script for Buzz Aldrin to say, "Second comes right after first," because he was second on the moon.
second to get on the moon, yeah.
But they, just in case he might have been offended by the line, they wrote a backup line saying, "First to take a soil sample." But Buzz Aldrin didn't get offended, and he went with the first. He went with the first version.
Yeah,
but it's pretty cute that they had a backup in case he got offended.
Yeah, it's pretty funny, because I'm sure, at least people still know him.
Yeah, people definitely know him.
Was there a third guy that went on the moon with them?
Not with them, no.
So it was only those two?
Those two, and the third guy was in orbit. He wasn't on the moon. Yeah.
So I was going to say, if the third guy went on the moon,
No
definitely no one knows him.
Poor guy. Now, this is our last prediction we've got for you guys today. And it was the censorship of Michelangelo's David. And this is the statue of Michelangelo's David. So David, that
Which
Michelangelo
I've seen in
did.
real life,
You've seen in
actually.
real life?
It's actually really, really impressive.
In Rome. Is it
Yeah.
Rome? Is it in Rome?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've seen it. It's so impressive.
Yeah, because apparently it's full of you can see the veins inside his skin, right?
Yeah, you can.
My God.
But there's now like a fence around it, because you used to be able to go right up to it.
And touch it.
Well, you weren't supposed to touch it, but you could go like right up to it.
Yeah.
But now they've had to like extend a little fence out.
Yeah.
Because apparently some crazy guy, just ran up and started like chipping at it with I don't know, with something.
That is so bad. I
Yeah,
would
so
never
ever
do
since
that.
that, they extended like a bit of a metal fence around it.
I don't blame them. When I was in overseas recently, I went to museums and it wasn't like closed off. I would just try and touch everything,
stuff, yeah.
just so I could say I've touched this dinosaur, I've touched this monument.
Yeah.
So,
But the statue itself, David, is like super detailed.
yeah,
And he literally looks like just like the best version of a man possible.
wow. Well, yeah, that's what I think. That's what he
Legit.
was. It was meant to. He was aiming
Yeah,
to
exactly. That's
build
exactly
best
what it was
version,
meant
like
to
the
be.
best, like a perfect man.
Yeah.
Good on Michelangelo. Now, but in the episode in 1990, in the episode titled Itchy and Scratchy and Marge, there's a copy of Michelangelo's David, and it's brought to Springfield. Now, some of the citizens protested the statue and wanted it to be covered up. And this actually happened in 2016 when a copy of the statue was brought to St. Petersburg in Russia, and the campaigners wanted to put clothes on the statue because the statue's naked, if anyone doesn't know the statue. Yeah. So that's a pretty funny one.
Yeah. That's really strange, though, because
yeah.
that's what the statue is. Why would you want to put clothes on it?
It's art, man.
It
It's
literally ruins the... It makes the statue just
it
not
makes
worth
the comedy character, man. But see, those are all the predictions we have for you today. There is quite a few other minor ones, quite a few more major ones probably, and let's see if there's more to come when this show just goes on forever.
It just keeps going, and let's see if it does keep going till 2080 when...
2000, yeah.
Was it 2080?
2082.
Yeah.
Once the contract ends. But look, people do say, and I do kind of agree, that the golden age was about season 4 till about season 13.
And then now it's kind of just gone too long.
Yeah, like, I don't know, the real soul of The Simpsons doesn't seem to be there anymore.
Yeah.
Look, I still love the show, and I still intend to watch every episode as it comes out. But
you haven't done that.
I haven't done it because the seasons aren't being released as often. So
okay,
I'm trying to do it the legal way.
Yeah, that's true.
That's how you do it. But yeah, keep up to date. We're so glad you tuned into this episode. Thank you so much for watching.
I hope you guys enjoyed it. We actually really enjoyed researching these predictions because it's quite impressive.
It's impressive. I mean, and it's one of my favorite shows.
Obviously, there's a whole bunch more, but these were just the ones that we sort of thought were the best.
Yeah, we really like these ones. Yeah. If you know any more yourselves, then hit us up on our Instagram, on our podcast website, or our email.
Yeah, probably the easiest way, drop us a comment on the Instagram and let us know if there's any other predictions that you thought were better or just any other cool predictions. Because we'd like to know as well.
We'd like to know, yeah. We don't have time to research everything, and knowing the So Far So Good podcast,
we are moving on. But no, once again, thank you guys for tuning in. And yeah, we will catch you on the next one.
Later.